Welcome to Crime. Today, we're diving into one of the most chilling unsolved cases in American history. A case that changed the way medicine is packaged forever. This is the story of the Chicago Tylenol Murders. It all began on September 29, 1982. 12-year-old Mary Kellerman from Elk Grove Village, Illinois, woke up with a sore throat and a runny nose. Like most people, she took a Tylenol capsule for relief. Hours later, she was dead. That same day, in Arlington Heights, a 27-year-old postal worker named Adam Janis suddenly collapsed at home. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors couldn't save him. His cause of death remained a mystery until tragedy struck again. Later that evening, Adam's younger brother, Stanley Janis, and his wife, Teresa, were grieving at the family home. They both took Tylenol from the same bottle Adam had used. Within minutes, they collapsed. By the end of the night, both were dead. Panic began to spread as more deaths followed. 19-year-old Mary Reiner, 35-year-old Paula Prince, and 27-year-old Mary McFarland also died after taking Tylenol. Authorities quickly realized these were not random medical emergencies. Someone was poisoning over-the-counter medication. Investigators discovered that the victims had all taken extra-strength Tylenol. When they tested the capsules, they found they were laced with potassium cyanide, a deadly chemical that blocks the body's ability to use oxygen. Even a tiny amount can cause rapid death. Police and health officials acted fast. Warnings were issued on TV and radio, urging people to stop taking Tylenol immediately. Johnson & Johnson, the company behind Tylenol, issued a nationwide recall of approximately 31 million bottles. It was one of the largest recalls in U.S. history. But the question remained, who did this? The poisonings appeared random. The tampered bottles had been purchased from different stores across the Chicago area. Investigators believed the killer had taken bottles off the shelves, added cyanide, then returned them to the stores. A man named James William Lewis sent a letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the poisonings. He was later convicted of extortion but was never charged with the murders. To this day, the person responsible has never been caught. The Tylenol murders led to major changes in drug packaging and safety regulations. Sealed bottles, tamper-proof caps, and protective packaging became the industry standard. This case shaped the way medications are sold today. The investigation into the Tylenol murders was one of the most complex cases in American history. At first, law enforcement had little to work with. The only connection between the victims was Tylenol. There were no signs of forced entry, no common acquaintances, and no clear motive. Authorities tested every bottle of Tylenol they could find in the affected areas. They found several more bottles contaminated with cyanide, but the poisoning method made it impossible to trace back to a single store or factory. The tampering had to have happened after the products had already hit the shelves. The Chicago Police Department, the FBI, and the FDA worked together to track down leads. They questioned store employees, checked surveillance footage, and examined every purchase made in the days leading up to the poisonings. Still, they found no clear suspect. Then came James William Lewis. He sent a ransom letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the poisonings. Police traced the letter back to Lewis, who was living in New York at the time. He was arrested and convicted of extortion but denied any involvement in the actual murders. Without physical evidence tying him to the crime, authorities couldn't charge him with the killings. The Chicago Tylenol murders sent shockwaves across the United States. People were terrified to take medication. Panic spread as rumors circulated that other products might be poisoned. Johnson & Johnson had to take drastic action. They issued public warnings, advised people not to consume Tylenol, and offered to replace any returned bottles. In total, they recalled over 31 million bottles, costing the company millions of dollars. Despite the financial loss, Johnson & Johnson's response was praised as one of the best crisis management cases in history. Their transparency and quick action helped rebuild public trust. In the aftermath, the entire pharmaceutical industry had to rethink its packaging. Before the Tylenol murders, medication bottles were not sealed the way they are today. The case led to the introduction of tamper-evident packaging, safety seals, and child-proof caps. It also influenced federal laws, leading to stricter regulations on over-the-counter medicine. The deaths of 7 innocent people changed the way we buy medicine forever. What once seemed like a routine act, taking a pain reliever, became something people second-guessed. Even decades later, the impact of the case is still felt. Over the years, many theories have emerged about who could have committed the crime. Some believe James William Lewis was responsible, despite the lack of physical evidence. Others think it could have been a disgruntled Johnson & Johnson employee or a serial killer who was never caught. One theory suggests that the person responsible was someone who simply wanted to cause chaos. They may have had no direct connection to the victims or the company. They just wanted to instill fear and watch the consequences unfold. Whoever it was, they managed to pull off one of the most infamous poisoning cases in history. And they got away with it. Despite decades of investigation, the Chicago Tylenol murders remain unsolved. Whoever was behind it got away with one of the most notorious crimes in American history. What do you think happened? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories. This is Crime, and we'll see you next time.